Hello and welcome to another episode of SHEnanigans, where I interview women in the community that I think you should know about. And today I have with me in the studio Laura Slesar, the Executive Director of Kidpower Vermont. Welcome, Laura. I'm so glad to have you here.
Thank you so much. I'm so glad to be here.
Awesome. I have learned, or I've been learning about your organization for probably like the last year or so, but tell us and tell the viewers what exactly it is that Kidpower does. This is a nonprofit, right?
Right. It's part of the international nonprofit, Kidpower International. It's the local center for that. And we teach children, teens, and adults of all ages and all abilities skills to prevent and stop bullying, sexual abuse, and other forms of harm, which we call collectively people safety skills.
And how old is this organization, and how long have you been involved with it?
It started in, I think, 1989, and I got involved in 2007.
So that's a while.
Yeah.
I still think like the 1990s are like 10 years ago, but they're not. Yeah, so tell us a little bit about what it is that you're doing to foster this and helping these kids and parents and everybody involved in this realm.
Sure. Most of what I do is through workshops, interactive, lively, hands-on workshops, and I work with either adults. I can teach adults for their own safety, but mostly I work with adults who are going to help other people. And so I work with adults so that they can take adult leadership with children's safety. And so that can be through parent education, caregiver education, or professional development. And I teach teens and children how they can keep themselves safe if they don't have their adult around. And that is either in workshops at places like schools or in workshops with their own family members. So so the kids learn skills and the adults learn how to keep practicing the skills with their own kids.
How do the workshops work? And I'm curious about, like how the kids enter them, what are they feeling when they're signing up or there for the first time? And then like, what are they feeling as they're going through these and coming out?
I think it varies what kids are thinking before when they come in. Some kids, if they're little, they're probably just excited to do whatever their grown-up said they were going to do that day. If they don't know other kids, they might feel nervous. But if they see other kids there, they just want to run around and play. If they're teenagers, they might tell me they've been dragged there by their adult. They might think they're too cool for this, or it's not going to be relevant to them, and that's okay. It's fine to come in reluctantly. And when they leave, most people report feeling like, oh, that was better than I thought. Even if it's a teenager, oh, that was better than I thought, or there were things in there that I needed to know, or they might even report that it was really fun.
We love it when they say it's fun,
Yeah.
right? How young is young when you say they're little?
I can teach toddlers with their adults, but then we're really teaching the adults how to engage their toddlers in the concepts like about consent and things like that. So if they're really little, like toddlers or preschoolers, then I'll use puppets and just have little puppets act out the skills, and then the grown-ups can help them practice things. And if it's older kids, then they're just moving around practicing skills.
So like role playing, or
yeah, we do a lot of role playing, and if they're there with their own adults, then they'll practicing together. So, for example, if we're practicing saying no to unwanted touch, we'll have the grown-up put their hand on the kid's shoulder, and the kid will get to practice saying, "Please take your hand off my shoulder," and actually going through the motions of moving away or setting a boundary, so that they have their body memories as well as their
I can imagine that this is really important, not just for when we think of kid safety, of like the guy in the white van and the puppy, right? But like even family events and aunties and uncles constantly want to kiss the kids or have these, really intense sort of interactions with them. Does it help kids with all of these kind of experiences? Yeah,
definitely. We teach that any kind of affection should be a choice of each person, even if it's a child and a beloved relative. And so we practice how to set boundaries, even with somebody who's well-meaning and who you want to have a connection with, because we know that it's important for kids and adults to be able to set boundaries, even with people they love. So we practice that too.
Yeah, I think when I first learned that, and kind of had that permission of, or that knowledge that I have the ability to say, I don't want to be greeted in this way, or have this kind of interaction. That's very, it's a big feeling, right?
Yeah.
And it's a big realization.
Yeah, and sometimes adults are worried about offending somebody that they care about. We have a founding principle that says that the safety of a child is more important than anybody's inconvenience, offense, or embarrassment.
I love that.
And so we challenge adults to push through that worry and prioritize the child's safety.
I love that. I'm curious about so many things, but how did you get into this in the first place?
I took a great self-defense class when I was in my 20s and found it really empowering.
Like physical self-defense? Like
Yep, physical self-defense.
What to do if somebody grabs you kind of thing? Yep.
Yep, using full force, using hands and legs, and yelling a lot. And I thought that was great. And then some people from my class started, after that, they opened a branch of Kidpower here in Vermont to be able to keep teaching the skills to more people. They ran that center until 2001, and then they closed that. And in 2007, I saw that it was really still needed here, that we really needed people to be learning skills to prevent the tragedies that I was seeing in the news. And so I reopened the Kidpower Vermont Center. I picked Kidpower over others because I really liked that they were trauma-informed and that they had figured out how to teach not just adults but teenagers and children really effective skills without scaring them. So that's why I picked Kidpower. And so I got certified with them and opened the center in 2007 and have been doing it since then.
That's, I'm really curious about the word trauma-informed. It's a word that we hear a lot, and it's almost become, I don't know, like a trendy word or a buzzword. What does it actually mean?
It means that we basically are aware that there are likely people in the room who have experienced trauma, and we approach the way we talk to people, the way we interact with people, in a way that is careful and respectful of that. And so the way that looks for us is, for example, we don't talk about the scary what-if situations. We don't talk about what might happen if you don't follow these safety rules. We say we're just going to learn skills so that we can be safe with people. We don't talk about stranger danger in Kidpower, even though unfortunately it's a clever rhyme. We talk about stranger safety, and we teach it in a matter-of-fact way so that we don't add our adult anxieties to children or other vulnerable people.
I was just going to ask, what is the difference that makes? Is it really like as simple as and powerful as like you're layering on more layers of anxiety and fear by using that terminology? Because that's all I grew up with, right?
Yeah, most of us did. Yeah, that framing of what a stranger is not only anxiety producing but also incorrect, because it's confusing to a child if we say never talk to strangers and then say thank you to the nice lady at the store. That's confusing, and so we work really hard to be accurate in what we say to kids. And so, for example, with that example, we don't say don't talk to strangers. We say check first with your adults before you talk to strangers. And so we want to give kids the correct concepts so that they know how to act in the world. We don't want things like a well-meaning but incorrect phrase to prevent a kid from getting help when they need it. So a child who's lost in the woods, we want them to talk to a stranger.
Right.
And there have been times where kids have hidden from search parties and been lost for longer because they had taken on that idea that they should never talk to strangers. So we are really careful to teach accurate information to kids.
That's such a powerful example. I'd never really thought of that, but it's true.
Yeah.
I know I lost my child in Home Depot once. This is when they still had the carpets rolled up, and so she'd crawled in there, and I couldn't find her, and everybody was helping me look for her, and she just didn't come out until I saw two little red feet. But anyway, that was
She knew where she was.
She knew exactly where she was, and she was probably giggling in the back as well. But small tweaks are such a powerful shift. You said that you got into this because you saw that there was a need for this. Over the time that you've been doing this now, have you seen that need, is it increasing? Is it leveled? Is it decreasing? It's obviously still necessary, but how has the landscape changed over the years you've been in it?
It's different. There were fewer substantiated cases of abuse in Vermont last year, but there is a growing problem of online problems,
like cyberbullying and stuff like that.
Cyberbullying and sex trafficking, sexting, that's sextortion. Those are kind of a newer problem from when I got involved in this work, and so that is increasing, and so that the landscape is shifting. The ways kids need to be protected is a little different, and I do think there's more awareness, especially with the Epstein files in the news every day. But I think that awareness is helpful to some extent, but awareness without skills is just anxiety producing, and when we get too anxious, we can just be paralyzed, and that is not helpful. So I really appreciate having a way to channel that stress into action and into helping other people.
I love that. How do your workshops work? Do you have like a place where you hold workshops and people can come in and sign up, or is it something that you schedule and create with individuals and groups?
Yeah, I go to where people are. So there can be private workshops at, for example, a school or a scout group, or there can be public workshops at a place like a library or a place that where we just rent space or a space is donated, and so I go to where people are, or teach classes virtually so that people can access them from wherever they are. We started doing that during the pandemic and discovered that that there were a lot of people who were unable to access our services previously because of barriers like transportation or childcare, and so we really appreciated that increase of access that online workshops provided.
It's incredible how quickly that access came out, right? Like the world shut down and suddenly all these new avenues opened up. I'm glad you mentioned the pandemic, because I'm curious, did that shift the landscape for you at all in terms of like the need and the problems and the types of safety issues that you were seeing?
Yeah, one of the things that is different is that mental health has become a bigger challenge for a lot of people and a lot of children. And a lot of the skills that we teach are social emotional skills that can help with that. And so we've seen more requests for programs that address bullying, and more requests for programs that address mental health kind of things, and relationship skills. Kids who missed 2 years of socializing are having some challenges because of that, and so the social emotional skills that we teach are coming in really handy for people now after those couple years of isolation.
Yeah, and I'm curious what the age ranges are. Like, we talk about safety and bullying. Is there an age where bullying starts? Has that shifted as well? I remember the mean kids at school when I was growing up, and it always seemed to be like this specific sort of grade and age. And I'm curious how that's changed, if it has.
I think what I noticed that is different is that kids, well, two things that have to do with screen time, which are that one, kids' school days do not end. Their social interactions don't end when the school bell rings. So they are interacting with their peers all evening, all night. And so if they're having a social difficulty, there is no break. For those of us who didn't have cell phones growing up, when we left school, we were done with our peers for the day. And that is not true for kids now who have phones or other kinds of screens. And kids are getting phones earlier and earlier. So that access to peers, the constant access to peers, is becoming more of a challenge for them. So that I definitely see as a
So it's not
shift.
just like social media noise, it's like the constant barrage of like somebody's texting and you feel like they're feeling compelled to answer or keep engaging. Is that
and if
part of it?
someone is being picked on, they're not just being picked on at school. If someone's making fun of another child, that goes on into the evening, into their home time, into their homework time when they should be concentrating on their work. So having skills to remove themselves from a situation that is a problem is important. Having skills to get help from adults is important. Knowing how to get help from adults is important. I think that the ways that we address safety can come in handy with such a variety of situations.
Yeah. Do you also talk to, we've talked a lot about the skills that the children or the bullied or the kids at risk can use or improve. Are you also talking or teaching kids and adults how to spot signs that somebody's, in distress or maybe needs help? Is that part of it?
Yeah, we teach bystander skills, how to intervene to stand up for somebody, how to speak up against injustice, how to intervene for somebody's safety, and in a way that is still safe. We teach kids to get help from adults when there's trouble if needed, and also to receive boundaries graciously. We practice giving and getting boundaries so that whoever's in the room, whether they tend to be targeted for bullying or to maybe be the one instigating bullying, can learn skills to have healthier relationships with their peers.
I'm curious, do schools teach a lot of or any of this in the school environment itself?
Yeah, schools have, like guidance counselors, for example, do a lot of social emotional work with kids, and every school in Vermont is required every year to teach sexual abuse prevention to their teachers, their families, and the students. So every school is doing something, and so what I do is a supplement to what they're already doing. For example, some schools, for the parent education portion, they send home a flyer to parents that gives them information about signs and symptoms that somebody might be having trouble with sexual abuse or what grooming looks like, and so it helps to an extent. And what I can do is help them practice actual skills that they can do at home, ways they can interact with their kids that make them safer. And so sometimes what I do is a supplement to what a school is already doing. Well, it's always a supplement to what they're already doing. Everyone's doing something already.
Yeah, you can't have enough of this kind of training and awareness, right?
Yeah.
Are there any sort of surprises that continue to surprise you, about people or people that come into your groups or trainings that just there are these aha moments that they have?
That they have?
That they have, yeah. I mean, either way.
One aha moment, sometimes I teach families together, so the children with their own grown-ups, and something that is really eye-opening for the adults to see is where their kids struggle. So one example is we practice not taking things from a stranger, and even your own stuff. So if a stranger has, your toy, a toy you really like, and they say, "Oh, is this yours?" We teach kids to move away and get their adult to help them get that back, because you can't stay out of reach while taking something from somebody.
Right.
And so sometimes in workshops with kids and their adults together, we've practiced with something the kid really likes, like their favorite bike or whatever. And then when we practice, what if it's your grown-up's cell phone or your grown-up's wallet? Sometimes the kids are not sure if they should walk away or if they should go get it. And it's been really eye-opening for adults to see when I say, "Oh, well, what's more important to your adults, their wallet or you?" And sometimes the kids hesitate, or your phone or you, and sometimes they hesitate. And so the adults get a really clear path forward of what they need to reinforce at home.
Yeah, that's really powerful, because it started making me think of, like at the doctor's office when you see a kid playing, right? And I've often picked up a toy and been like, held it back. And I think the natural reaction is, well, the kid shies away, and the adult response is like, "Don't be shy, here you go," right? That's definitely a new one for me. You just taught me something. Yeah. I love that. What about on the kids' side, anything that they constantly is new that is surprising or a big reaction?
Yeah, I think kids really enjoy the power in setting a good boundary. I think that's really. I think I can see they look happy when they're setting a good boundary. They seem to enjoy that, and I love when they tell me they feel empowered afterwards. They say things like, "I didn't know I could do that," or "Now I'll know what to do." One really small kid, a 6-year-old, in a workshop that I was at, we were having a lunch break, and she was talking to herself, and this was in Colorado at a family weekend workshop where there was it's an intensive format where there's a ton of learning, and she said to herself, "I'm a whole new person now." It was so cute. But an example of someone who learned a bunch in a Kidpower class was a 12-year-old who took a full class which included physical self-defense. Sometimes we just do everyday safety, and sometimes we include physical self-defense for emergencies. And soon after she had done Kidpower, she was walking home alone with a friend from a store, and they realized someone was following them. And so she showed her friend. She got ready to do eye strikes, and she said, "This is what we need to do if we need it," and told her friend to call their adults. And then the person heard them calling their adults and went away. And she told her mother afterwards, "I knew just what to do because I'd had Kidpower." And and it was. Yeah, and then afterwards they realized that the route that she had taken was not the best route to go when you're alone as a child. And so now they have a plan that she goes on a different route if she walks home, and not in such an isolated area. And they pointed out places where she could get help along the way. And then the same child, a couple months later, had a substitute teacher in 6th grade who was a male who hadn't been there before, and he was acting inappropriate with all the girls in the class. And all the girls started talking amongst themselves about how uncomfortable they felt, and they together made a plan for one of them to ask to go to the bathroom and instead to call her mother. And her mother came immediately, and got the help of the other teachers, and the mother of the child who had taken Kidpower called the principal and worked hard to get him to agree never to have that sub again. And again, the mother asked the daughter, what would you have done if you hadn't had Kidpower? And she said, "I probably wouldn't have said anything." And that fits with what my peers remember when things like that happened when we were young, that we just would talk about a teacher who seemed to make people uncomfortable, but we never looked for help for that.
Because you didn't know why it was uncomfortable or if it was even a thing, right?
Yeah.
That really puts the power into Kidpower, or really elevates that and makes that apparent. So it's really giving kids not just empowering them for themselves to what to do, but this sharing of the information is really important.
Yeah, we've had people who have not taken our classes but heard about our classes who protected themselves in a situation just from what they heard from their friend who did take a class. So yeah, I hope people spread the word when they take the classes.
I love this. So how do you do this? You're an organization of one, right? How can people support you? And I know you look for volunteers every once in a while. What would a volunteer for your organization be helping you do?
Volunteers can do lots of different things. They could come help at a class to just check people in and get people their name tags and that kind of logistics stuff. They could take pictures at a class. They could reach out to an organization that they think would benefit from a workshop. They could hang posters for me. They could help with a fundraising project. If they have a skill that something they like to do, if they like to make phone calls, they could call libraries to follow up on outreach that I've done. So there's lots of ways that people can be involved. And they could even get trained to be an instructor.
How does that work? How do you do that?
There is beginning instructor training. There's an online course that people can take, and then the full certification has involved, at least so far, has involved going to Santa Cruz, California, which is
not terrible.
Not too much of a hardship, for full training with the international training team. And so that is part of my hope, is that soon we will have more than just me as a certified instructor here in Vermont.
I love how, like, watching you talk, you're just like, your face lights up. It's so clear that you love this and you're super passionate about it. Why is that?
I've just seen too many people's lives be harmed by trauma. And I know from the classes I've taken and now from Kidpower that there are skills that people can gain in a short amount of time that can prevent that completely. And so I just want everyone possible to have these skills so that they can prevent trauma and avoid all the fallout from trauma. And I love that Kidpower, that the curriculum developing folks have found a way to do this that is actually fun and doesn't scare children and doesn't further traumatize people who may have experienced something difficult already, and empowers communities to be healthier. And so I love this organization.
I love that. Tell us about some of the resources that you have available on your site for people who might be curious, who've never really thought about this sort of realm before.
Yeah, on the website, on the Kidpower Vermont website, they can find a few of my favorite resources from the international collection. And so things like articles about how to know if your child is ready to walk to school by themselves, or articles about, or a list of skills that you can practice at home, stranger safety rules that you can implement in your family, things like that. Or they can go to the international website and find a library of hundreds of articles about safety issues, and even an online learning center where they can sign up for a course and do it at their own pace and learn all the skills without even leaving their house.
I love that. Tell us, what are a couple of signals that your child is ready to walk to school by themselves? Because I know that a lot of parents really struggle with that. The kid's like, I'm independent and I want to go, and parents like, no, not yet. So what are some things to look for?
There are skills that a child needs to be able to demonstrate that they have. So can they, there's the physical safety, like do they know how to cross the street safely?
Right.
But then for people safety, I would want to know that they have practiced the route, and that they know where they could get help if they had a problem along the way. I would want to see that they know how to keep a safe distance from someone they don't know, and that they have refusal skills, so they know not to get in a car with somebody who's offering them a ride, and that they know how to be loud and run to safety if they needed to. I would want to know that they know what to do if they get where they're going and something unexpected happens. Like, for example, if they're walking to a library after school and the library's closed that day and that wasn't their plan. I would want to know that they have the skills to deal with a change in plans in a way that works for the adults, which would mean finding a way to connect with their adults to change the plan. So there's and asking for help. So I would want to see that they know how to ask for help and that they're willing to do it from somebody they don't know if they needed help.
All great skills, things that you don't think about necessarily all on a given day, because especially if you take it for granted, like all these things, and it's really hard to sort of articulate. That really gives a clear picture.
Yeah, and people think it's about an age. Oh, my child is this age, so they should be able to, whatever it is, and they might be able to, or they might not.
Yeah, age is not a factor, or not a
guarantee.
Deciding guarantee. Yeah, absolutely. What about kids who are maybe being bullied, or what are some signs of distress to look for, or are there any? Are there visible signs that somebody's having a hard time?
Yeah, if a child starts to be more withdrawn, or starts to not look forward to going to school, something that changes, or their grades decline, or they start not wanting to hang out with certain friends, or when you notice something has changed, that can be a sign that there's something amiss. We recommend that adults ask kids in a matter-of-fact way regularly, is there anything that you've been thinking about or worrying about that you haven't told me? And opening that possibility for discussion before there's a big problem, so that kids get the idea reinforced that their adults really do want to know if they have a problem, and that there's a space for that. A quiet space where if they'd been wanting to bring something up, they would have a chance to.
Yeah, you bring up a really good point. I remember as a parent of littles, when they were little, you know, when you talk to kids, especially when they're teenagers, how was your day? Fine. What did you do at school today? Nothing, right? Like, so they're very terse, and it's all about how you ask the question that gets you more of a response. Do you help people with that as well? Because I know people don't know. I used to get frustrated with my kids too. I didn't know how to ask them questions, and they were my kids.
Yeah. I mean, that phrase that I just mentioned is a good one, and I would talk about when might you ask that question. Maybe not right when you pick them up from school. Maybe when they're going to bed at night, or maybe while you're next to each other cleaning up the kitchen after dinner, so they're maybe not even face to face. Or maybe when you're driving somewhere. Those can be times where it's easier for someone to bring up something difficult.
So you're not putting them on the spot and in the spotlight kind of thing, yeah.
Yeah, and we have a protection promise that we invite adults to make to the children in their lives. I could tell you it if you want to hear it.
I would love to hear it.
It's beautiful. I'll say it to you. You are very important to me. If you have a safety problem, I want to know. Even if I seem too busy, even if someone we care about will be upset, even if it's embarrassing, even if you made a mistake, and even if you promise not to tell. Please tell me, and I will do everything in my power to help you.
That makes me cry. That is really beautiful, and it's powerful, and it really tells the recipient that they matter and that their feelings and person matter. What, in the minute or so that we have left, what is something that we haven't talked about that you really want people to know about Kidpower and the work that you do?
I really want adults to know they don't have to figure this out on their own. I think for adults, we know what the risks are in the world, and we can get scared by that. And that fear can stop us from taking action. And so I would like to invite adults to get help with this. The same as we teach kids: be aware, take charge, get help. Be aware of the risks that exist. Take charge. Do something about it. Get help. Get help from me. Get help from online. Get help in how to address these issues with your kids. And don't let fear get in the way of doing it. There are people who have figured out how to teach kids this stuff, and you don't have to figure it out. And we can help. And we're happy to help.
Yeah, I was just going to say, and let us help. I think that is really important, because when you're a parent or a caregiver, you do feel like you should be able to keep your child or your person safe. And it is a skill, it's a learned skill, right? Yeah. And there are experts that can help you, and we could all do a little bit better with asking for help no matter what.
That's true.
Right, yeah. That's great. Well, thank you very much, Laura Slesar, Kidpower Vermont. Encourage people to go to the website and look at what Laura offers for workshops, maybe schedule one, reach out, support. It's a great organization. And thank you for watching today. Thanks for coming.
Oh, thank you.